Okay. Take it again.
Meeting called to order.
Dr. James Bunker is going to start invocation tonight.
Let us be posture of prayer. Now, God of every good and perfect gift, who makes known human opportunity possible, and who is able to do exceedingly abundantly greater than we could ever think or imagine. For that power which works in us. For this day we're grateful. We have gathered in this moment of time and in this place to attend to the business of the city of Hampton, Georgia. We invoke your presence among us. We praise you and we welcome you in this place. We ask for wisdom and courage for our policymakers, satisfaction and goodwill among our citizens, and for peace and prosperity for this community. Bless and guide through your superintending providence the order of this meeting. Thy will be done. In his holy name we pray. Amen.
Now we have the release of flag and club scout force. Sugar. Well, it's my honor and pleasure to present this flag to your 2018 Hampton Queen Day student with Club Scout Pack 60 by the Mayor and Council Hampton 2019. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, would you take that plastic, please?
Thank you, guys. Before we continue, the mayor wants to send an apology that he not able to make it today because of family emergency, and want to send it to withdraw. Presentation approval of city council meeting. Would like to make a motion for the regular session meeting held in February 12, 2019.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell, I would like to make a motion that we approve the regular session meeting for February the 22nd minutes.
February 12th.
I mean, 12th, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
All in favor? Carried. We make a for a special call meeting held on February 25th, 2019.
I make the motion to approve the February 25th special call.
I'll make a second.
Turn over.
Oh, I didn't.
All in favor? Before we go to invited guests, I demand the council to amend the agenda to move up section 6B to the top and also have the county policy to the agenda.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell, I make a motion that we amend the agenda to include, 6B move to the top of the agenda, and, that we add the travel policy to it.
Where do you want to add the travel policy? What
New
number?
business, let's make it 6L.
Ready for a second? Second, all in favor? Pass. 5-0. Do you have any invited guests?
Mayor Pro Tem, we do have one invited guest, that's Ms. Tina Caesar. She is the manager of the Fidelity Bank in McDonough. I just want you all to meet her. We do have quite a few accounts there, so you can put a face with a name. Ms. Tina, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any public, no use of public comment? It cannot be exceeded for 30 minutes. And that's start now. Anyone wish to have any public comments in the meeting? Please state your name, address.
No.
Make sure you.
Good evening. Don Greer, 20 McDonough Street. Regarding the agenda item on the proposed fee structure for use of city facilities and properties, proposed fees for the depot and Old Fortson Library should be in line with comparable facilities. Historical value and capital expenditures on renovations should also be considered. The policy for security deposits should be enforced with same-day inspections conducted by qualified personnel before the renting party leaves the premises. Damages over the security deposit amount should be the responsibility of the renting party. Renters that cause damage over a dollar amount should not be allowed to rent again. A decision must be made on including the property at the Old City Shop in the fee structure. In 2018, a private group was allowed to use this property for a day-long event for free. To my knowledge, this had not happened before or since that event occurred. In my opinion, this usage was clouded. In the March 2018 City Council meeting, a City Council member stated that they donated money to this group for their event. The council member later stated that the money was returned to them. After the event was held, it was made known that the private group did not take anything to use this city property. This usage of this city property was in conflict with the principal properties of our code of ethics, which there are 5 of those, but I will just read the last one where it says all citizens should be treated with courtesy, impartiality, quality, but there are 4 others. So in May 2018, a private group was allowed to use city property for a day-long event for free. This group had some type of financial relationship with a city council member. This free usage should not have happened in 2018, nor should it happen again. This created unequal access to city property that resulted in residents being treated with partiality and inequality. conflicts with our city codes of ethics such as this will be met with formal complaints filed with the ethics commissions against any elected official or employee who authorizes such facility and or property usage. Thank you.
Anyone else? Please state your name and your address.
Michael Rockford, 1211 Pebble Rock Road. I am a resident of the Cobblestone subdivision and a member of the Board of Directors of the Association of Cobblestone. Two items on tonight's agenda are of significant concern to me and our community. I thank Councilman Byrd for his effort to bring this item forward. The Cobblestone subdivision consists of over 250 residential units and many older children and teenagers. While some recreational facilities are available within the subdivision, only the pool is really suitable for the older children. The young men and women who walk from the subdivision to the recreation center must walk along West King and East King Road. This road is so narrow that two vehicles meeting each other almost have to pull off of the hard pavement to do so. It is that narrow. And when the surface alongside the road is muddy, these children are forced to walk off into the mud when vehicles there. This is not right. On behalf of the Cobblestone community, and especially for these youngsters, I encourage these two items regarding the sidewalk installation be moved forward. At least in doing so, there can be some understanding of what can be done to alleviate this condition, which is just looking for a catastrophe to happen. Additionally, since these streets within the development are so narrow, I would like to see a small area adjacent to the playground where the curbs and sidewalk can be set back far enough to allow some parking to be instilled there for the playground. It wouldn't have to be much, 8 or 9 vehicles, maybe one handicap parking space, that should suffice. But in any case, I would like to create an environment that is safe for our children. And I think this is one of the ways that we as a city can move forward in doing that. Thank you.
Anyone else? And, is your name?
Good evening. My name is Bill Dodgen, 15 Shelby Street. First question is, there's a sign in Fears Mill. It's got city meeting tomorrow, the 13th. What does that city, does it consist of a city, or where is that? Does anybody know? Maybe it's not, I don't know, but it says Reed City of Hampton on the sign. It's like tomorrow night at 7:30.
Yes, no, I don't know.
Okay, that's fine, I was just, thought somebody would know. The other thing I want to comment on is SPLOST. I voted for SPLOST last time I almost did, but I changed my mind, I did right last minute. This time I won't, and the reason I won't is because the county is planning a rec center in Nash Farms. That rec center was planned right next to Coley Park. The city of Hampton was giving excuses for 4 or 5 years because they couldn't maintain that property. And they finally got that property, and now for some reason they moved it to Nash Farms. And if you look at the map, the Hampton would be a more central location in District 2. That's what it is, District 2, okay? And until I see it moved on their planning, I will not vote for SPLOST. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and my Oliver, 20 College Street. I just have a couple of requests, in item 6E and 6K. When you get to that, could you possibly explain what this is about in more detail than what's written here? for both of them. Okay, thank you.
Al Williams from 188 Kendall in Southampton. The gentleman's correct about what's going on with the sidewalk coming out of Cobblestone. For whatever reason, Southampton was brought into the city. It's an island outside, 3 miles outside the city. Our kids also walk constantly, they walk down the highway. And they get from there to the city. There's nothing out at Southampton other than our pool. Besides that, we have mostly teenagers. Those teenagers are also getting in trouble as they're walking from our subdivision to the city. We need some assistance on that as far as either sidewalk or a park, something that we actually utilize. There's no basketball court, there's no tennis court, there's nothing there for over the age of 12 to do. And even the 12-year-olds play in the streets. Again, I don't know why they decided to bring Southampton into Hampton, but since we did, we need to provide the same support that we provide everybody else to Southampton.
Mile 30 Woolsey Road. When you all took office in January, you promised to be transparent. Well, did anybody read March 6th newspaper? Big article in there, how you all are not being transparent. Over this $100,000. Says right here, you refuse to discuss it. That a lot of citizens feel it's our money, not your money, that we should be informed what you're doing with it. It also makes reference to all of these 2-4 votes. Perhaps you all should stop and consider the motion and do your homework on what you're voting on. Make it a little more cooperative discussion between y'all before you vote. But that's a shame when the newspaper has to print something like this about Hampton. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? We close public comment and move forward to our business. Our business consider an action and adopt ordinance 474, second reading, ethics complaint from 30 to 50 days. Senior Senator?
Well, good evening, first of all. This was something that you guys considered at the last, council meeting. It was a recommendation from your ethics committee to allow them more time to be able to, consider any complaints that file with them. And I do believe someone from the ethics committee spoke to the board about their reasoning. And so they're here again tonight if you want to hear from the ethics committee. And in fact, the ethics committee did hire a lawyer, Ms. Ramos is here as well, that can speak to you about that decision.
I'd like to give the first ethics committee 2 minutes. You can explain it. Thank you, lawyer.
Myself and our attorney, also, but sheriff is also here. We looked at the cases that were happening with Vernon West. based off of past history, it's normally 30 days from the time that this case has been submitted to the city to the time that we're supposed to come up with a conclusion and the determination of what we think before we pass that on to the city for recommendation, our recommendation to the city. Due to the fact it's a volunteer basis and the number of personnel we have to have at least 3 people present in order to have a quorum for the event. Since everybody's working and have a job, that's kind of difficult. We identified Tuesday as our day that we will come together to make sure that everybody's available for that day. We also looked at the number of how much time saved. If you look at any other government that's out there, most majority of them, it's 90 days. We're asking for an additional 30 days. That's what we asked last week, and Tuesday last month. We told the reason why. We voted and said, okay, we agree. And now we're here again to say, you still need the 60 days. Other than that, that's all I have. Yeah?
We are in the process, as you know, this is something, that we're putting together as far as procedures to have these, ethics, meetings and hearings to discuss all the complaints. When I joined on board, we had about 5 or 6 complaints already pending. And we've had 2 meetings and 1 hearing, which we just had last week. I think the 60 days would allow for the members to have enough time to review the case prior to the hearing, investigate any information that is needed additionally, and help us to move forward in a more smoother manner moving forward. And that's all I have.
And last thing, we also, since we do have our attorney also has other trial dates that she is obligated to be at. So even though we may have enough personnel to have the event, we wouldn't have our attorney that's present. Therefore, we have to coordinate when our attorneys are going to be present and when we're going to be present so that everything matches up. Because if it comes down to the bottom line, we need the attorney to be there, make sure that we're doing everything correctly, that we're giving you legal advice. And you determine what you're going to do with it once we give it to you. But we want to make sure that everything we're giving you is above board and very clear.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to make a motion that we approve ordinance 474, second reading, to adopt, ethics complaints from 30 days to 60 days.
I'll second that motion. I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
If you have any discussion, you may want to ask for discussion from your board.
Any discussion from the board? All in favor? 5-0.
You want to take the other ethics, matter at this time?
Yeah.
The one that you moved up, 6B?
Offer a motion for action on ethics cases recommended by regarding the ethics complaint filed by Councilmember against Councilmember Bodie.
Mayor Pro Tem, so what this is, your ethics ordinance allows the ethics committee to engage and have hearings on any complaints that filed, against anyone by anyone. And, one of the, complaints that the ethics committee heard, which Attorney Ramos just alluded to, was a complaint filed by Councilmember Brown against Councilmember Bodie. And you understand that's why they have their own lawyer, because it would be a conflict for me to represent the ethics committee as they, hear complaints that may involve members of this body. And so the ethics ordinance does allow for the ethics committee to make recommendations back to the city council. And so Attorney Ramos is here tonight also to present the ethics committee's recommendation on the complaint that was filed against Councilmember Bodie. And so that's what is, going to be presented, and then this body will vote. I will go ahead and say that your ethics ordinance is silent as to whether or not the person complained about and the person making the complaint could vote. Obviously, we can, some common sense as to what should be done when the ordinance is silent. Allowing the, and I don't even know the result, the recommendation that's gonna be made, but allowing the, persons that are involved in the, complaint, could hold some biasness. And I do want to bring that to your attention as the Mayor Pro Tem tonight, that you do have an ordinance that's silent as to whether or not, the persons involved are able to vote. I've looked at other cities to see what they do. Obviously, I can provide that information to you, but your ordinance does not, give any guidance on their voting capabilities.
What I will do is I will, leave it up to Stephen and Mr. Brown, if you want to leave, I remain. I'll call it right.
Yes.
Can I stay, but then not vote?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't speaking about whether or not you had to stay in the room. I think you should. I think both of you should stay in the room. But, I'm sorry, Attorney Ramos.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say something, if you don't mind, Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell. My recommendation, that if Ms. Bodie, who is being complained of, doesn't vote, then Mr. Brown, who made the complaint, shouldn't vote either.
Okay, on November 2008, Mr. Brown filed a complaint against Ms. Stephanie Bodie, alleging that she had violated Article 7, Section 2-292, Section 2-297, and Section 2-304. We had a hearing on February 26th, if I'm not mistaken, that afternoon. There was evidence presented by both parties, with regards to the alleged complaint. In particular, that, Ms. Bodie had violated, the Article 7 sections that I just referenced to by submitting information on an arrest that was already public record, to the council. After hearing the evidence that was presented at that hearing, the Ethics Committee, met at an executive session and decided that they did not find that the respondent, Stephanie, had violated Article 7, Section 2-292, 2-297, and 2-304. And the only suggestion that was offered was for, in the future, for correspondence that is public records to be shared with all the council members to avoid any concerns or confusion. Because I believe in her initial question as to whether or not there was a background check done, she sent an email to Attorney Wiggins and the mayor. And basically, the panel found that she was not in violation of those codes at that time. I do want to apologize openly because we did not take that vote on the record like we should have. It was a unanimous vote, and that is something that we will make sure that we correct moving forward. And I'm taking responsibility for that, but that did not occur on that day. So I do want to share that with the board. But it was a unanimous decision by everybody that was present. Present for that was Mr. Smith, Mr. Williams, Mr. McLean, Mr. McIntyre, and Mr. Strickland. Everybody was present on that list. It was a 5-0 vote. Unanimous.
Mayor Pro Tem, as I now hear the recommendation from the Ethics Committee's attorney, I'll read to you what the code says at 2-309. All recommendations to the city council to invoke penalties or disciplinary action shall require a vote of the majority of the eligible members of the Ethics Committee, presiding, voting, and the city council. And so because there is no disciplinary action that is requested to be taken, then there's no vote required by this board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to business. 5B, consideration action and adopt authority of 476, second reading, authorizing the budget amendment to transfer $100,000 from capitalized item of the city general fund to downtown development authority.
Madam President, I would like to make a motion to move, to do budget amendment to transfer the $100,000 from the capital improvement line item of the city general fund to the downtown development authority.
You need to call for a second.
And for a second,
I will second.
Discussion.
any discussion? Yeah, Councilman Burton?
Actually, a question for Ms. Shaw on the Exhibit A, the budget amendment. There's a number of reds, which looks to carry of $1,223,542. Could you explain that to us a little bit more, please?
Sure, so what that is the revenue for simplicity purposes, I put revenue in negative or red or credit.
Can we have the mic turned back on?
Can someone fix the microphone, please?
So for simplicity purposes, the negative amount is a credit or a revenue, that is listed, that's why it's showing up as negative. Trying to show that we have revenue of $1.2 million budgeted, and we're reducing $100,000, going to capital funds and putting it back to the general fund and then transferring from general fund to CPA. So it's not a negative, meaning you're not in a hole, it's just listed as a revenue line item instead of an expense item. Like, for example, expense items are gonna be listed as positive numbers, where revenue line items are listed as negative numbers. So just trying to show that we're reducing the revenue by $100,000 going into the fund.
You want to come in?
You need to call for a vote.
Yeah, I'm giving an opportunity to speak to it process. Okay, call for a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Passes. Victor?
He can vote.
I can't vote for all.
Charter, section 2-33 says the mayor pro tem can vote while performing the duties of the mayor. Well, for which one?
Favor.
How did he vote?
In favor.
4-2.
4-2.
Consider action and memorandum understanding between city and Upton and the Downtown Development Authority for real estate purpose.
Y'all looking at me, I want me to explain. So this is a, MOU as opposed to an intergovernmental agreement between the city of Hampton and the Downtown Development Authority, because you guys are giving them money. And so because the city is given, the DDA money, for real estate purposes as the agenda item, suggests, then there needs to be some type of understanding between the two entities, the use of these funds. And, provided the use of these funds is not in accordance with the MOU, then you should get your money back. And so the, MOU that was provided in your packet explains, just that, the understanding that you have with the entity that you're giving funds to.
Any discussion?
Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to make a motion that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Hampton and the Downtown Development Authority for real estate purposes.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I got a couple things. In the resolution or the memorandum, there's blanks in all the locations as far as amounts and all that kind of stuff. Does that not need to be filled in before you vote on this?
Yes, so when I drafted it given the information I'm given, and I sent it to, city staff and, to provide that information. So if there are some, holes, then obviously that needs to be discussed and filled in.
Also, I just like just to make the record in this is, we've gotta have this memorandum. If we're gonna give this money to the DDA, I don't approve of it, but I will agree with the memorandum because we've got to be able to make sure that this money is used for what they're letting it be used for.
Councilmember Byrd? Okay, the first dash is going to be the date. The third thread will be the 100,000. I'll make sure those amounts are filled in before the mayor signs, okay?
And you said 100,000, is that the correct amount?
So we budgeted already for this memorandum of understanding is for the additional $100,000. So we gave them 100,000 originally in the budget for real estate. This is the second $100,000, so it should be $200,000. Actually, it should only be $200,000. The $30,000 is allocated for their attorney, not for real estate purposes.
For the record, is it 200,000? Thank you. I'll make sure that's done, okay?
Any other discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Consider an approval of memorandum of understanding between the City of Hampton and Business Merchant Association for 12th Annual Pollen Festival to be held on March 16, 2019. Mr. Bumper, please.
Yes. And you have before you, the memorandum, before you, the memorandum of understanding. And it's in keeping with what we've done in the past to support the Yellow Pollen Festival.
Motion?
Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Hampton and the Business Merchant Association for their 12th Annual Yellow Pollen Festival to be held on March the 16th.
Second by Councilman Birdie. Any discussion?
I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding this in regards to, I see you put an in-kind contribution report. This is, our donation to this event, and it's totaling $14.96, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so they will be using our stage and sound system and tent.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, before you get that, let me also place on the record that the Yellow Pollen Festival is open free of charge to all Hampton residents. And if that being true, then the donations of these items listed herein are not a violation of the gratuity clause of the Georgia State Constitution, because the city is receiving, or its citizens are receiving some benefit, being able to participate and, be a part of the Yellow Pollen Festival without any additional charge.
I want to ask one more question since she brought that up. So when you say we're able to participate, tell me, what do you mean by are we able to get a booth for free?
No, I'm saying attend.
Oh, okay, okay.
There's no, cover charge or ticket
Got it.
sales.
I got you. Okay.
Any more discussion? All in favor? 4-0. No.
Yes, sir. The rental places that we rent, and then now we had on when we just right there from rent and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a figure on what we rented out for and stages?
That's coming up in the agenda.
Different items.
Yes, sir. I look forward to having a chance to address it. Thank you.
Now, go to new business. Consider action on a request from Glenn Golden, DBA, the Jailhouse Brewing Company. So, on the 26th of April, from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. at 8 Cherry Street.
Yeah, so we're, this will be the third year, I believe, of the Motorama Cruise In. It's in conjunction with the Atlanta Motor Speedway Motorama that happens over the weekend. I was approached a few years ago by the coordinators of that event, that they wanted to have a gathering, local gathering, people bring their cars, hang out prior to the Motorama. So that's what we did. It requires closing down the street, Cherry Street only, and people bring their cars, park, hang out, listen to music, have a beer if they want to. Pretty simple. Never had any trouble out of this event in the past. Don't intend to have any trouble this time. So just asking to close the street.
Is this like classic cars or
We
certain types
don't,
of cars?
we don't pick one or the other, but that's the majority of what it is, they're classic cars.
You can come and park
I mean,
their
if you wanna
cars
show up in
along.
your 84 Trans Am, you're welcome. Not that you have an 84 Trans Am. But typically, they're mostly classic cars.
Okay.
I call from, motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Motorama cruising.
I'm second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? 4-0.
Thank you.
Consider an approval of the human resource director job description. That's for city manager.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, Mitchell, at this time, I would like to introduce our new interim, temporary HR director, Mr. Norman Kreider. If you would come forward, and he's going to take any questions as it relates to the job description of the HR position. And also at this time, if the council seeks to make any changes to the job description, now is the time that he would do that. So I'm sure you all have had an opportunity to look it over. So, Mr. Kreider is here to answer any questions for you.
Everybody has the floor?
The job description as written is very thorough and encompassing of everything that should and needs to be done. So if there's any questions addressing any areas.
I just have one question. Can you tell me, I believe we did a HR director's job description back in June of last year. Can you tell me what the changes?
There are, I think this is reflective of that, but, the only thing that I see is, that, there are several items that still need to be addressed. Chris, did a wonderful job during tenure, addressing some things, but there are still several items that need to be addressed to be compliant, both from a, Department of Labor aspect and from, city's aspect.
And this makes us in compliance.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Offer a motion? Approve.
I make a motion that we approve the new updated job description for the Human Resource Director.
Second by Councilman Brown. Any discussion?
Wish we would have a little more time to actually look at this third revision, which we got when we came in here. I don't know if there's a big rush, if this has to be done right away, if we couldn't look, give us a chance to look at it, the next council meeting, unless we just absolutely have to do it tonight.
That's not, we're talking about the Human Resource Director.
More to HR.
That's all.
Yeah, that's not what you're looking at. We're looking at the travel policy.
Okay, I got it. This afternoon, I still got the second revision discussed this afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it? Or yesterday afternoon.
You received the third revision to the travel
No, I'm talking
policy
about
today.
the HR.
But no, there has not been any
No
changes to
change.
the HR job description.
Okay, all right.
All in favor? Thank you. Thank you.
Norm Kreider, Kreider. Charlie Romeo, India, Delta Echo Romeo. CRIDER.
Thank you. Okay, we'll call it. Consider action on resolution 2019-05 regarding surplus of 2009 Ford Crown Unit number 28, submitted by our chief.
Yes, sir. This is a vehicle that we've had out of service for over a year now. It has a bad transmission, it will not even use. Transmissions are $2,500 to replace. We did the Blue Book value today on it, and Kelly Blue Book says the vehicle's worth $3,000. But, that being said, we also checked govdeals.com where we commonly sell vehicles like this. And the highest bid on any 2009 Crown Vic lease interceptor was $1,000, the lowest bid being $110. So basically what I'm saying is those cars are used hard. Even though the mileage is not super high, it is, doesn't seem feasible to spend the money to fix it and put a transmission in it. So I'm asking that the city surplus it, that way we can, get rid of it at however the city attorney will allow us in our view of the
Yeah, is that the same vehicle that we were talking about last year when we donated the other one to Warm Springs?
This is a separate, we did donate those to Warm Springs.
Oh, so the two went to Warm
Two
Springs?
did go to Warm Springs, we were still vehicle that time.
Okay.
That's about the same time when we got some new vehicles, we took it out of service.
Tracking.
And that is still another option if the council would like. I know there are, smaller cities than us that are actually in need that we could reach out to, and we get no monetary gain from it, but it does help them out, so.
Is this the last 2009 Crown Vic that we have, or we got more?
We still have a couple more 2009, and maybe one more 2009, then we go to 2011. We still have one 2008 still on the road, for whatever reason, 2008s were better vehicles than the newer ones. That's when they started all the flex fuel and the emissions, so those older ones actually just keep ticking and keep going. But when 2009s, and we didn't have any 2010s, so we got 2009, 2011, that's all the ground we have. We're slowly replacing. Yes, ma'am.
I just was gonna ask, are we going to need any of the parts for the ones that's still ticking?
Because we only have those 2009, the 2011 will not accept. We tried the transmissions on the old ones, and they made enough changes in those years where they're not acceptable. So, The only parts we might possibly need would be the body parts, but, we still have enough of them that can. We have 2 new cars that we're going to put in total by the end of this week, so that I have a couple more spare ground vehicles that we'll have in case of emergency or for cars.
I move for a motion to approve.
Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2019-05 regarding surplus in the 2009 Ford Crown Vic unit number 28.
Any discussion?
I just like, if we could reach out to Warren Springs and see if they might be able to use it, to
Sure,
repair
they
some
would,
of those
greatly
other two that they got.
if we made that offer.
All in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Considering adoption of resolution 2019-07, adopting a multi-institutional hazard mitigation plan to compliance with. Okay, after that, considering approval of resolution 2019-06 in opposition to HB 02 and HB 172 could permit City of Hampton or other local government from regulation, building design, element of single or double family dwelling in our community. Mr. Mayor, and our attorney,
In the absence of Mayor Hutchinson, I can tell you what those 2 bills say. House Bill 302 and Senate Bill 172, they are mirror bills. One started in the House, one started in the Senate. And basically what they said is that it would take away local government ability to regulate design standards in housing. I believe I sent y'all an article about that a while ago. And so basically if the house is safe, then it can go up. And so any zoning or design standards that local put in place to make sure that a neighborhood is nice and, consistent with, different designs, if it's like a historic neighborhood or if you want more modern or whatever you put in your zoning code, you wouldn't be able to regulate that anymore. Crossover day was just the other day, and so, this bill, was withdrawn, House Bill 302, and then the, Senate bill, sorry, I had it pulled up, but I had to click on something else. The Senate bill, I don't think, went anywhere either, and so this may be a moot issue. Obviously, there is not, any downside from going ahead and passing this if this board is opposed to, a bill that would take away your ability to, create rules for design of residential, because it may come up again in another legislative, session, so. We'll leave it to the Mayor Pro Tem on if you want to continue with putting the City of Hampton's opposition on the record.
Based on information by the mayor, I'd like to, ask to approve, a vote this.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2019-06 in opposition of HB 302 and SB 172.
Second? Second by Mr. Byrd. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Consideration adoption of resolution 2019, adopting the multi-district hazard method hazard plan for compliance with the programming requirement of the federal hazard mitigation standard. Recovered by intern city manager.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell, adoption of this resolution simply states that the City of Hampton is adopting Henry County hazard mitigation plan. We have to do this yearly, so this is what this resolution will do.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell, I would like to make a motion that we adopt resolution 2019-07, adopting the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 12-0. Consideration action of solicitation of RFP, sidewalk project in South Hampton and Cobblestone subdivision, serving by Councilman Byrd.
Yes, I'll explain this to you. The committee went down in January and visited the site of Southampton and Cobblestone to look at the sidewalk situation where they had built houses in there, but there was some lots that was non-developable at the time. And so when the developer moved on, these places were empty spaces between the sidewalks. So we went down and looked at and viewed all the different locations in Cobblestone and Southampton to determine where these sidewalks needed to be attached. We come up with Pebblebrook Road, which is 400 feet. This is at the community park that connects from, in front of the community park on the front side. On the rear side of that same park, there's 50 feet right away where we wanted to put the sidewalk. And on Hudson Drive, there's 2 lots there. That's 303 feet that we consider to be unbuildable, can't be used. Kendall Drive, there's 200 feet, there's a corner lot there, the same situation. Pebble Rock Road, there's 200 feet for the creek crossing, and that's the same situation there. And at Pebble Ridge, the lift station, there's 266 feet that needs to be done there to complete this. I know Mr. Rokoff has talked about the community where they have their park. The problem with that is that would probably end up being about 80 or 90 feet section in there that would need to be where you're talking about putting 7 or 8 parking spaces. Well, once you move 6-8 feet off of that right of way, off of the street, then that's out of the city right of way. So what that does is if you're asking us to go in and move the sidewalk, then you're asking us to go on private property and build a sidewalk. And we don't have a problem, at least we'll vote and see if everybody has a problem, recommendation, putting the sidewalk in there. But if you're gonna tear that up, we don't wanna put that sidewalk in there if you're gonna put parking spaces there. So that's something that I just found out about this over the weekend. And the council needs to discuss that and see how they wanna handle that particular section. And they can also vote on this, these tying all these sidewalks together. So, attorney, maybe you can give us some advice on this.
So when you said, putting a sidewalk on private property, and that's what made me raise my eyebrows, because essentially you would be doing a taking, and you would have to pay just compensation to those property owners for whatever portion of their land you would be taking to use for a public purpose. And so, that's a process all in itself. So if that's the only way sidewalks can occur, then this board really needs to talk about finances and get a fair market value for, the property that's needed for public purposes.
Like I say, unless the board wants this, what the board was wanting to do was to build the sidewalk where we have right of way now. The right of way's there. But now that they've come in and said they wanted to put these parking areas in, now it's pushing that sidewalk that has to go behind the parking areas, which will push it 20 feet off of the street itself.
Into private property.
On private property. So it kind of gets into muddy water about going on private property and doing work on private property and all that. So I don't know if they're going to pursue and they're going to put these parking places in, then we don't need to put sidewalk in that area, because they'll just have to tear it out if that's what their intent is.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
It's up to you,
Okay.
As a member of the board of directors of the association. We have reached out to the city in the past when we were looking, well, actually, when they were punching the test well on community property. And during that period, we were more than graciously willing to deed any property over to the city that would have been used for that well. And I am certain that should the city go with the idea of improving to the parking area there by the park, that property could well be deeded over to the city as well. I don't believe there would be any difficulty there. However, it would have to be taken up with the entire board.
That will solve your problem if they deeded us the property that's needed for the sidewalk.
I guess the only other question would be, is the board willing to pay to put the parking in? Which normally in subdivisions like that, the developer puts in the parking areas and does the play areas and all that stuff. So the sidewalk we're gonna put, but it's, you know, it will be on city property. If they deed us some property, then I don't know what the answer is.
And Mr. Bird, is this sidewalk inside a neighborhood, right? Guess my first is, why are we considering putting a sidewalk in private property inside a neighborhood anyway?
It's not private property, it's city property. It's in the right of way, it belongs to the city.
I see, so we've already gotten the streets dedicated to
Yes.
us. Okay, and so the parking spaces though, in addition to the sidewalk, is something that the city is considering to do as well.
That's what we thought we would.
And the parking spaces would be to serve what?
The park, the community park that belongs to the subdivision.
Let subdivision put that parking there.
Sidewalk, yes, parking spaces.
When we get ready to vote for this, if we vote yea or nay, we need to figure out if we're going to leave out a section of sidewalk in that area, of what size that they need to do their parking. Because we don't need to put a sidewalk in and then come back months and tear it out and put parking.
I was going to say, I don't know, I would have to ask Frank in regards to, we've had this discussion several times about putting sidewalks inside of communities and on unbuildable lots. I'm trying to find out, nobody has been able to tell me who determines if it's an unbuildable lot. And how is it determined that it's an unbuildable lot? Or does the city have anything in writing that says these are the stipulations for unbuildable lots?
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 95% sure that the city cannot look at the laws and say that was not buildable. The only, I mean, even if it is in floodplain, the city cannot ask somebody to not build in a floodplain. There are regulations that allow people to build in floodplain to meet certain requirements. So I don't have any idea what will make the city say that a law is not buildable. They may have to comply with additional requirements, but I don't think, I don't think there is anything from the citizen's point of view that can say that a law is not buildable. Even if somebody is going to, I don't know, waste the groundwater or something like that, then the state has to get in and the house of the regulations. So I don't know if the city has the right to tell somebody that their law is not buildable. I've never met that case before, so.
Okay, thank you. So I was gonna ask not you, but Mr. Bird. In the research that you and Mr. Brown did in regards to these, communities, did we put out some regulations to tell us what the reason we decided that we, these weren't billable lots?
We have, Mark Lilly, our engineer, Frank.
Usually, the city doesn't start to tell somebody this lot is not buildable. It is a term that developer use when they don't want to meet the requirement for the platform, for example. By themselves, they say this is not buildable, but it's not a term that I know that the city has requirement for and say a lot is not buildable. It comes from them. We never tell somebody that a lot is not buildable. They make that decision themselves and we go with it.
I just wanted to know if it was something that we had put in place so that we can use this standard throughout our city, because if we go into Cobblestone and Southampton and complete their lot. I was right in the city, Amber Cole has a spot right there by their retention pond that needs to be done as well. But I wanted to see if we had something that had been documented that we could possibly put into a policy or something that we have to say, when we happen, we consider it to be an unbuildable lot. Because I don't want to set a precedent, and if I don't do anything in Amber Cove, and I do something for Southampton or for Cobblestone, they gonna want to know why. Can we get one? Can
I mean, if we get one, it will be based on common sense. I mean, common sense, we don't need to put a requirement for common sense. Like somebody, like somebody has a pond, somebody wants to build on a lot that is a detention pond. That's a common sense. You cannot build, I mean, I don't need to write a regulation and say that you cannot build on a detention pond. If you build there and there is a wind and your house is flooded, how does that make any sense? So,
yeah.
Let me just kind of caveat and clear it up.
I'm gonna call for motion and the discussion, so we can get it out of the way.
No. Well, the term unbuildable lot is just a generic term. It may be misused in this case.
Yeah.
Because what we're looking at is whether or not the owner, the builder of that subdivision decided to build on that property before they left and moved on or not. So when we look at a lot that has not been developed by the developer and left, then we're calling that an unbuildable lot. Now, somebody can buy that lot and build it, but the thing that we considered was whether or not the residents that are there now have a sidewalk to walk on or not. And are we gonna complete the sidewalk in their community or not? Now, someone may come later on and build a house on that lot. They're gonna cut out that piece of the driveway, the piece of the sidewalk for the driveway, but they're gonna have to finish that driveway. So, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it.
I don't have a problem with going into communities that have been established and are missing sections, because I feel like they need to have it complete. What I don't want is for it to continue to happen. So, I don't know if this is a zoning issue or what this is, where we allow developers to come in and they don't do the entire sidewalks in the community.
Something that can help is that, normally on the final plat, the final plat usually, or is supposed to depict, any floodplain, any detention pond. So with the final plat, we should be able to say, okay, this lot, I'm not going to say not visible, but may require more, may have more requirements to comply with. The final plat to show all the easements, so if there is a 5 easement running through the lot, dividing the lot into half, that lot, common sense, you cannot build on the 5, so that lot is, you can say that is not buildable. If somebody wants to build, the person will have to transfer the power, move the path somewhere else to have a place to build. So those are things that we can use. So the final plat is a starting point, and that's what I'm just to people. You want to buy a lot, you want to build, make sure you look at the final plat. The city cannot allow anybody to start building house without the final plat being approved. So those are the steps that are supposed to be taken and to avoid all those issues.
So could we put in some type of policy where if someone wants to build a community here, prior to leaving that community, they need to finish out about the sidewalks on those lots that they're not building on?
Would be a zoning ordinance.
I mean, I believe the zoning already has that, any subdivision now, they need to build sidewalk on both sides of the street, on all the streets, no matter what, not buildable or not. So that's already, that's my opinion.
The whole problem with these subdivisions, especially cobblestone, is the builder took off. When they had the big, everything fell, busted, he left. So there's nobody to build these sidewalks. Where if like Southampton's got a couple lots that you can go look at them, and they could probably build them, but they may have to spend $50,000 to make the lot buildable to do that. So we can sit here and say, okay, well, that could be buildable, we're never gonna do these sidewalks. It may be 20 years before somebody decides to try to build something on that lot. Do we wanna wait that kind of time, or go ahead and fix these sidewalks so people have a place to walk? That's the decision.
I've heard earlier that, if we build a sidewalk there, the community will also deed the property to us, correct?
Deed?
No, the parking lot, the parking lot.
It sounds like maybe what you need is a plan from the community, if they have one, about the parking spaces, and so the city can install sidewalks to accommodate whatever parking spaces will be in that area.
Also, this is for committee, I know we did an assessment on Southampton and Cobblestone. We didn't write any other part of the city to assess them?
No, not yet. That was the starting point. Those were the only two communities that came in here and spoke up, saying we need sidewalks. So if Amber Cove came in here and said we need sidewalks, I'm not sure we was going to Amber Cove, but no one came here.
Can we approve the sidewalk up until where they gonna build a parking space? And then cut off where they're going to sidewalk. Because they put a parking space in, so they don't have to pay it up in. So do the sidewalk up until where they gonna put in the parking space, leave off the side, this way. But don't put a sidewalk there where they gonna put it in.
So can we send this back to committee to get with the HOA association out there in Cobblestone to find out what their plan is and where they're gonna put their?
All they'll have to do is tell us how wide the area they need to do these parking places, and we'll stop the sidewalk there.
Well,
We can approve it, we just want to approve, we'll just cut that section out.
Well, it sounds like you could make a motion tonight to approve sidewalks, or to issue an RFP to get someone, to bid on providing sidewalks in this area. And then you can get with this community, and that's how the RFP will be drafted, that we need sidewalks, because you have to tell the contractor or the potential bidders where we want sidewalks to go, because that will determine their bid, right? And so you can make the motion tonight to have the staff issue the RFP for sidewalks. We can get with the community to determine what that fee or the scope will look like for where the sidewalks will go.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve doing the sidewalks and Cobblestone with the exception, we will speak with the HOA.
The motion is to issue an RFP to collect bids for the sidewalk project in that neighborhood.
I'll make a motion that we approve the RFP for the sidewalks in Cobblestone and Southampton.
I'll second that.
We're all clear. The issue of RFP, because we don't have one yet to approve. We're gonna issue it.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Consideration action.
This is mine also. The motion will be for an RFP for sidewalks from Cobblestone entrance to King, West King, up to Highway 20. That's what we're doing.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
We should maybe do that all in one RFP.
We're looking at it.
Would they not, they don't connect?
Yes, it's the same, I mean, it's coming out the same subdivision, we're doing it all.
Well, that way you won't pay mobilization fees for, you know, like if you get one contractor to do it all. You know, it's just a thought.
And that, just to clarify, that is to speak to the East and West King Street where the gentleman was talking about earlier.
That's right.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned it, I think we need one motion.
Oh, it's fine the way you're doing it to get the motion for, them separately, that's fine. Just that when staff writes the RFP, it will include the entire scope of the sidewalk project.
We have got a first and a second, any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Mr. Bumper, discussion of proposed fee structure of the use of the civic facility and property. 6I. Discussion regarding utilization of volunteer staff and improving of keeping of the Rose Garden and Catching William Community Center. Mr. Brown?
Yes, we had Mr. Henderson, the attorney that wrote the contract to transfer that property to the city. And the only requirement that the city has is to maintain the Rose Garden that's dedicated to Ms., I think, Irma Fortson. I went by there, and though the grass is cut, I still think that there are some things that can be done to help beautify that garden. They made a project for our Rose folks or our John's team, but maybe more of a community type thing where we can go in there and sketch out how we can put some more personal touches to that Rose Garden. It's a real nice park. I think the community over there would appreciate it. And I think that we could do something to uphold the memory of the Fortson in granting that wish. That's the wish that Mr. Fortson had for the city to do for his wife, and I think that we need to uphold that. So I don't know if it needs to be a public works thing. I don't think it should be, but I think a community type event can be organized and put together so that we can go in and put in some roses. You know, there's some around the pergola, some of the lumber that holds the little gardens, those things are rotted out. Just some little things to beautify it. And that could be a nice little place to do like Easter egg hunts and things like that for the young people. So it's a part of our city, we need to embrace it, and I think that we need to honor the memory of Mrs. Fortson by keeping it to the highest standard that we can.
And Mayor Pro Tem, I just wanna piggyback off of Mr. Brown, it's not just a desire, it's a covenant. So as a condition of the city receiving that property, we promise and we're legally bound to upkeep that garden.
So I just wanted to say, maybe we can look at which, a combination of all of the committees coming together to put together some type of volunteer committee to actually go out and do a plan of what we would like to see out there at the, garden site.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I have no problem with it. I just don't want it to sit there and degrade.
So Parks and Rec, I believe that would be, or the community service, committee, one of those two committees, we need to call, maybe an all-call committee meeting where we can go out and, look at that project.
And I might be able to find, we have a horticulturist that works for the Atlanta Botanical Garden that lives in Bridgeport, and maybe I can solicit her assistance and you know, getting them to help us draw a sketch or kind of sketch out what would go well there.
And I might be able to reach out to the DDA, and they may be able to, help us with getting a arborist. Okay?
Does that also address the continuing upkeep and maintenance of it after it's installed?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, you expect volunteers to do that, that's what.
Right, so that's the reason, I'm gonna say about getting a volunteer committee to make sure that that garden is maintained. Our public works has been doing a good job of keeping the hedges clipped and the ground cut, but any additional things that we're talking about doing, such as the pergola, if you want any particular type of, I like flowers, so flowers, those are things that we will have to maintain on the committee.
And this one help from the extension service.
Right.
County extension service.
Yeah.
If this is gonna be a volunteer committee from citizens, then I would like them to sign a waiver.
Okay, okay. So Mr. Brown and myself will spearhead that. Is that all right with the council?
Yes, it's fine with me.
Mr. Byrd? Okay. That's fine. Then,
Discussion of proposed fee structure for municipal cleaning facilities and offices. Mr. Bumper?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell and members of the council, if you will let me make a clarifying statement, before we entertain what you received in your packet from me today. What you received is a draft, the starting point for a discussion that leads to an ordinance to govern the policy for city limits. Okay, just want to clarify that for all of us who are here.
all right, so we're having a discussion about the fee schedule in regards to our facilities, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and I saw, or I read, originally we were looking, or the, example that was given, a $50, hour fee for, is it just, what buildings are we talking about with that?
Yes, so we're talking about the Catherine S. Williams Community Center, that's the Corson Building, and, the old shop property, the Terry F. Jones Depot Park, the McBrail Park, and the Rosenwald Park.
Okay.
Does not include the historic Trinity Depot, because we haven't received our certificate of occupancy.
Okay. So at this time, can you, I'm sorry. So I wanted to know if we had gotten, any of our surrounding cities, rates.
Rates and fees. Yes, I looked at some of those, where we are, is, low. And so, this is just a starting point, so I'm waiting for direction from the council, to move forward, to craft something, that's agreeable and that's reflective of the property, and, use of the property.
Okay, so my thought on this, in regard to like our city parks, our open space that we have. Our citizens, I just don't think they should have to pay anything to go to those. I mean, reservations, right now we do it on a first come, first served basis. That is what we do. Now, if we're outside of our city, then maybe we can attach a fee if they wanted to do, any of our pavilions, rent out any of the pavilions, we can do an outside fee. But for the utilization of the park, I don't see, and you guys have to tell me. Right.
Useful of the big.
Right, because we don't, I mean, even if they wanna have an event in the park, we don't stop other people from going over there, so,
It's not exclusive.
right. And, earlier, old shop facility came up. So at this point in time, we don't rent out the shop, the actual building, it's just the property. Like we've had several events where they parked on the property, free of charge, nothing. Anything that we have, they utilize that piece of property. It's just open property. So I don't see why we would have a fee to utilize that piece of property.
Certainly,
And
sir.
considering we're not using the building.
If the promoter or citizen wanted to host a, concert, there, would it not be reasonable that, they would at least, give the
Pay a
city
fee?
$250?
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
that's what I want.
so we're talking about this is just a discussion, $250 to, and that's what the fee is for,
Flat fee for 8 hours. And then $50 for each additional hour up to 10 hours.
You know what I will do? For instance, the committee, to go over the details of the session.
And Mayor Pro Tem, let me just give the committee, whoever's on that committee, some advice.
what committee?
We have,
It's gonna go to
We don't have to.
economic development or community development.
Community development.
Or Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and
Go ahead.
So if it's going to be referred to the Parks and Rec Committee, I would recommend that you do not bring back a fee schedule that says zero on any use of city property, because you will be in violation of the Georgia State Constitution gratuitous law.
Okay, so we do have that, but even though, because we just approved gratuity.
Yeah, but that was in consideration, because that's what,
So
that we have to receive back from benefit, the taxpayers have to receive back from benefit. And the benefit on that tree pilot was citizens will be able to attend. So it's not private, closed off, someone's not using the depot or the park, and citizens can't go to it, right? And so if there's a private event where it's not open, there's no benefit given back to the city, that's a violation. And the fee has to be reasonable, maybe $1.
Okay. So, send to the, Park and Rec, and return that in April?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Secondly, consideration of agreement letter between the City of Hampton and Wells, Webb and White LLC, attorney at law, for service delivery strategy.
I can speak on this. So, there is a, concerted action between the four cities to discuss and, promote their position in the service delivery strategy negotiations that is being done, county. The cities have met and they want to get a outside firm to handle those negotiations. And so, Locust Grove has been kind of driving this bus, and they offered up their, city attorney, who is the Smith, Welch, Webb and White firm, to be that point person that the cities would use in the service delivery strategy negotiations. And so if Hampton is interested in joining the other cities, then that engagement letter that was provided in your packet would need to be executed.
Call for the vote?
I have a question first. I have a question. Are all the cities, because I don't see all the cities listed on this memorandum.
I think Stockbridge is not. They are looking to hire someone else. But Locust Grove and McDonough are. So write their own engagement letters. If you only see us, it's because it's tailored to us, is what my understanding was from the representative from that firm.
So I have a question in regards to this. So how are we going to be updated on what's going on with the service delivery strategy if our attorney is not involved?
So, two ways. The requirement of the firm would be to update the city as this goes forward. We obviously have to have a representative there for the information to be disseminated to the larger group. They may know, because they did represent the city, some of the details about what's going to be needed for successful negotiations, but we need to have, and they have asked, and all the cities have offered up a staff representative, to be, present. So that's one way. The other way is for me to participate. It wouldn't be in a representative capacity if you go with the engagement letter. Then all the cities, except Stockbridge, who's gonna get some other guy, would be represented legally by this firm. But as opposed to a staff person or in addition to a staff person, I obviously can be a part of it.
I have another question. The attorney that's Smith Webb and White, have they represented any other city and been successful in, that you know of?
I don't know.
Do you, I know, Gwinnett County, do you know who was the attorney?
Yes, it's a gentleman's name who's escaping me now, but that's the gentleman, Stockbridge is looking at. I don't know where they are with that, so I don't wanna misrepresent whatever another city is doing.
I'm looking at this fee structure, because everything comes with a cost.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking at 5 representatives of this company, and if we use all 5 of those representatives for 1 hour, I'm looking at $1,100 and something for an hour. That's ridiculous. Lack of a better phrase.
That's all right. That's all right.
No, it's not about right in my case. Let me say this. I'm sorry?
That would be divided in 3.
You will be dividing the fees amongst the cities that are going with, if we join, it would be 3 cities that would share the fee.
So
Now,
1,100 divided by 3,
so that's the number, Mr. Brown threw out.
Hey,
The way it should work, is obviously 5 people don't need to be doing one thing, right? That's the way it should work. I obviously can't tell this firm how to deal, and if there's some issues with the deal, the city council always maintains the right to say, hey, listen, you know, explain this, why is it this so much? We're not paying this, you know, we may have some issues about the services we receive in exchange for this amount you're asking us to pay.
What benefit is to us to?
What benefit is to the city for to go with this permit versus getting your own attorney?
So, I don't wanna talk about people when they're not here, and I don't wanna talk about them in a negative way, but the mayor has been in conversation with the other mayors and the other city managers about the benefits. And so I wish he were here so he can maybe explain the conversations he was privy to, because I was not. It was a elected official conversation, a city manager staff level conversation that attorneys were not, a part of. And so no city had their attorney present when some of these conversations were going on. And so, if I could speak for him, I prefer not to. I believe that there were some conversations about the benefit of all the cities sticking together.
So I'm just gonna ask Ms. Melissa, because she's the staff member that's been going to the meetings with the mayor. Can you tell us the benefits of going with Smith Webb and White with the other cities?
Well, the last meeting that we attended, it was stated by Warren from SWW that he's seen it both ways, that we can branch off and go it alone, but there's powers in numbers. Your case will be stronger if you stick with the other cities such as McDonough or Locust Grove. Of course, we could very well get our own attorney.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, and I think that there is strength in numbers and that we need to stick, especially the city of Hampton, and let me explain why I'm saying this. We wanna have a stronger position when it comes down to our SES agreement, so that we can collect as much revenue off our lost dollars and pay less to the county as possible. So if it is a means of, if we can stick together with other cities and do that, to me, I think that would be the best course versus venturing out. I mean, Larry, and I'm not gonna venture out on you, I mean, putting it on Larry, you know, to, reach out and find a different firm.
Well, I would suggest in your negotiation with SWW, it's kind of like with the other firm, Michael Brown, they did it based off population. So you wanted to see, I think our cost was like $800. The more your population was, the more you paid. So in saying that, that could be some type of negotiation because our numbers are not as strong as the other cities.
And Michael Brown, let me just be clear, is not a law firm. Michael Brown was the consultant that the city hired to do the mathematical calculations to determine, what the millage rate should be for each city and for the unincorporated portion of Henry County. And so, also understand that the conversations that are happening now are solely about the SDS, not the law. And it's my understanding that the two will not be tied together at this time. Obviously, they relate, we know that. But the conversations that are occurring now are to, drill down what services each entity will be providing and how those services are taxed so that everybody can come up with their appropriate millage. And for the services we receive from the county, our citizens are appropriately taxed by Henry County for those services as they use them, and not paying over or even under, for the services we receive from the county.
Okay, we make a motion, I'll make a motion to continue the engagement there between the city and Yes.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to table it. And my reasoning for that is, we're not, I mean, I don't know what our bill is for this Mike Brown name.
Michael Brown firm.
Michael Brown, I don't know what we're spending to our part of that. I don't know what these costs are and how these costs are broken out. So, I mean, the person that needs to address this and give me apples to apples and lay it out is not here. So I don't think that it's fair to us or the residents, because you guys wanna know how things are running as well, that they're getting the same information, accurate information. I don't think we have what we need to make a decision right now.
Okay, we table it?
What's that? What's the time frame? I know there's a time frame here where we gotta do something.
Right,
You
yes.
know what that is?
The time frame has passed.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The time frame for us to provide to the Department of Community Affairs, our executed service delivery strategy has passed. Yes, it'll be in February. If you've been following Henry County News, they have already issued a resolution to commit litigation against the, to force mediation for there to be, and I'm not telling anything that's not already public news, to force the cities and the county to get together for some finalization of what we have to, and the only way you can get to mediation, the statute requires there be litigation filed. A senior judge from another county gets involved and refers the parties to mediation is the way the procedure works per the statute. And so, the county has already said that they are going to jump out there and get that process started. So it basically is who can beat the other one to the courthouse is where we are.
Well, if they bring this to us now, why are they waiting until it passes and then bring it? Because what?
Well, there were meetings, Mr. Turner, between all the cities, and that's when Locust Grove hired the Michael Brown firm to do the calculations, sent to the county to hopefully get it finalized before that deadline. It's just that those negotiations, didn't materialize into an executed agreement.
This is not something that's new. The same thing happened at the last SDL. It's the exact same thing. The county wanted to give us little or nothing, and the city, and all the cities got together and worked it out, and we came out a lot better, I think, because of that. Because Stockbridge was standing behind us, even some of the cities with the population that was higher, they were still standing behind us, trying to keep us where we were at instead of them cutting us. And that's how it happened last time, and Smith, Wells, and Britton was the ones that was representing all 4 cities the last time. That's who did it the last time.
So we had a track record.
Okay, what I can do tomorrow is, see if we can get a better understanding of the rate chart, because when I called today, just what you see on there is what, that is for the city of Hampton, what you all have on the rate fee schedule.
That rate is to be split by all the cities. So if it's an hour at $300, each city who is engaged with the firm will pay their portion to be decided amongst the cities how much of that $300 Hampton's gonna pay, Locust Grove, McDonald.
I'll make clarification on that.
I was gonna say, so is that what you're understanding by going to the meeting?
The last meeting we had, we did not have that fee schedule. I think that was sent to us late Friday. That was sent late Friday.
And I talked to the gentleman who sent it, the associate at the firm, who indicated that he's leaving it to the cities who engage with the firm to decide how they gonna split a 1 hour, $300. You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha. So do we have a letter with the other cities, how we're gonna do this?
No.
No.
You have everything that.
That we got.
Yeah.
So, maybe 7 minutes.
That's what I would like to make a motion to table it.
Is a motion on the floor for table? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Any discussion?
Yes, how long are we gonna table it? In other words, what's our time frame? We need to know what we need to do and when we need to do it, to make sure we do it in an appropriate amount of time.
So, Ms. Burt, if you don't engage the firm, it's not like you're not represented. I am fully capable to represent the city, right? And so it's not like you're not represented, it's just whether or not you want to join the other cities. And if you table it for 2 days or to our next meeting, you will be represented. You won't miss out on anything. So it's really up to the board on how long they want to decide on whether they want to.
My thing with tabling, I don't really have, truly, I think there is power in numbers, but I would like to know how we're splitting costs and fees. How, if we're paying $300, we paying the $300, we're not splitting it with anybody. This is our fee schedule, but we grow got their own fee schedule, so.
That's not the case, but yes, we can confirm that in writing for you. That's what you guys need to make a decision.
Any discussion?
My question, do you know about how many residents offhand Locust Grove and McDonough has?
Obviously, McDonald has more.
McDonough, or according to census, about 23,000. Locust Grove about right at 6. They're less than us. But they have more revenue.
Could we kind of come up with a percentage we agree upon and accept that with Ms. Welch and Brent, and then you negotiate that tomorrow?
A percentage you wanna pay of their hourly rate?
Yes. Like if we
You
thought.
could, but if the other cities have done that too, and that leaves Hampton with a percentage you don't agree to, and I think a better approach would be, get with the other cities to agree how, if you want to go with them, how you wanna split up their fees. I think that's the better approach.
Based on population.
Is it gonna be, yes, it's gonna be based on population, it's gonna be split 3 ways, it's gonna, equally 3 ways. Some people even do your loss percentage as a way to split fees. So if our percentage of the loss is 8%, then we pay 8% of the $300, right? So there are a number of ways that you can approach the split. But I think we should approach it with the cities first, get an agreement, and maybe we can't get an agreement. And so that will be information for you to make a better decision of what you want to do.
Any more discussion? All in favor to postpone it?
Do we have to
Table.
put it?
Table.
To the next meeting until you guys call a special call. I have to leave that to you on what you wanna do about
I
it.
think it's, the call meeting. Make sure that happens until.
And just, if you say to the next meeting and you make a special call, then the special call is the next meeting.
Okay, the next meeting? A motion on the floor and a second, all in favor to that? Passes unanimously. Consideration and approval for resolution number 2019, I believe, is, 08?
Yes, this is
Yes.
the one that you added.
08. To adopt, fire policy for, elected officials and personnel board.
So what this is for the benefit of the public and the other council members is that Mr. Mitchell requested that there be a separate travel policy for elected officials. Currently, in our personnel policy, there is a travel policy at Part 20 that is, that governs the travel for official business, for elected officials, employees, appointed people, and others, right? Anybody who travels on behalf of the city for official business. And so the request was to take elected officials outside of that group, create a new travel policy for, elected officials, which requires the resolution to read as it reads, which would amend the existing travel policy and then create a new one. So you have Exhibit A and B attached therein that will reflect, the, two separate policies.
Well, most of the stuff that I put for non-reimbursement, no laundry cleaning, shoe shine, car movie, golf, entertainment, gambling, and gift shop, snack, pain relief, and air travel, briefcase, vehicle maintenance, traffic costs, club membership. Those things are putting those things that we must abide by the rules. Doesn't, we're not saying we don't abide by the rules, we just make sure it's on paper, that we go forward and abide by the rules.
So the purpose, what is changing from our current policy?
So your current policy did not provide, your current policy had the city manager as the decider of a number of items with respect to travel. this one for elected officials, you guys then govern yourselves. That's one change. The per diem change, Mr. Mitchell, please help me, this was your initiative.
Take it from GSA. Let me go to my website, I can require for diem, a set number price, that we must follow.
What so far as like, some of the basics with respect to lodging, those things are the same, whether you're talking about an employee or an elected official.
And this does not affect our budget. Our budget is our budget. You cannot go over your budget, I don't care. If you don't have any money to do any traveling, you don't do any traveling.
I did not touch budget.
It's also said in section 8 that, these have to be done by budget season, and the budget coming short or two council meetings for that to be activated. So without a budget, this cannot be taken place. We cannot use money that is allocated to us.
Okay, so.
Make a motion?
So, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2019-08 for the travel policy for elected officials.
For a second? Mr. Burton, Mr. Kern, second. All in favor? Any discussion?
So this last version is, how many things changed on here? Because I haven't read it yet.
Let me go to my email. So,
That was the mileage.
mileage was one, the change of the dinner time. I'm sorry, let me restate that. The time you have to leave, say, an event with a class or something by for you to qualify for per diem for dinner change. I think that was it.
So if you're going somewhere for a class the next day, you leave the day before, that morning, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, does that mean if you leave by 7 o'clock and you're entitled to the $90 per diem for that day?
No, it has to be the time. So, and Mr. Mitchell, correct me if I'm wrong. If you have to be there by 7, then it looks like you qualify for breakfast per diem.
That day.
But just that day.
So the day before the travel day, you don't get that.
And if you leave before time, you don't get money for dinner. You can get that at home.
I really understand. I'm just trying to figure out what it is. I know the amount went up from 50 to 90.
Say that again.
I think it was 50, wasn't it?
So I believe the one for elected officials, that's in your personnel policy does reflect a different per diem than the one in Exhibit B, which would be limited to elected officials. That's You're right.
So that's my point. I'm just not understanding what's driving the change. That's what I'm trying to find out. What's driving this change? Because I know GSA policy, I worked for GSA for years. And I tell you, you're making money based on their per diem. You're putting money in your pocket. So, I mean, to me, being here isn't about making money. It's about doing work for the organization, for the city, and for the citizens. So I'm trying to figure out what is the driving thing that's driving this change. Because if it's just going to Mayor's Day, which is 30 miles up the road, I mean, heck, most of us in here drive more than 30 miles a day, I'm pretty sure, and you don't get per diem for it. So what is driving the change is what I'm saying, because standard is 50 miles, a 50-mile radius from your house, you start getting per diem. You get mileage, so I'm trying to figure out what's driving the change. Why is it that this is so important that we wanna increase some things or even make change to it, period?
If you're asking me, Mr. Brown, I do have to defer to Mr. Mitchell. I draft what I'm asked, and Mr. Mitchell is the one that requested this change.
So what's driving the change, is what my question is.
The change is,
No, not the change, what is driving the change? What's the driving force behind why we feel we need to change this policy?
the policy that I'm setting in place is per diem. For, instead of not per diem, we don't follow per diem, instead of set number, so we don't cross over. You look at it on per diem, premium is set for a number, but I don't go by something. When it's set, you go up, you go down. Keep one number straight. So you don't go say, I make $50,000, you want $80,000. You make $6,000, however it is, that's it forever. Doesn't change next 10 years, 20 years.
Okay, I do wanna point out one thing before you guys make a decision on the per diem. Because remember, if you set a fixed per diem for just the council, and, we're gonna go according to what GSA says, because we have different people going to different places. One could be going to Macon, and the other could be going to Jekyll Island. Okay, per diem from Macon is going to be definitely different than Jekyll Island. The breakfast over there in Jekyll Island may be $27, versus in Macon, you can buy it for $11. So if you set a fixed per diem for you guys and say, okay, we're only gonna get $45, that's gonna cover lunch, dinner, and breakfast. $45, if you go to Jekyll Island, is not going to do that. So go according to, my suggestion is stick with the GSA guidelines, depends on where you go. Determine, most of the conferences that you attend covers breakfast, maybe covers lunch, so we're only giving you dinner. But if you say $45, you may go to New York City, and $45 is not gonna cut it for dinner. So, if you guys say, okay, we're gonna have a set amount, for council and also for the employees, and then that's it. Then, in finance, we cannot give you more or less than that. And that's one of the reasons why, most of the city goes based on GSA and the guidelines.
There's a few things on that. One, or rather, not, I know I voted to amend the agenda, but being as we all got this right before then, and have not all read it every minute carefully, but there's a lot of things I don't agree with us getting $90-something for food in a day, but, reimbursement of mileage is allowed for interofficial travel outside of Henry County. To get to Clayton County is only 6 miles, to get to Spalding is only 6. I can't see us turning in mileage that close. And also business meals, I don't like officials being able, when in the opinion of the official there's been such an exchange, they may deem it appropriate to pay for meals for someone else. There's a number of things in here I just don't like.
Most of these things came from GMA, Child Party Book.
So can we wait till April when we all get to see that?
You can go on the GMA website and look at the book first, that's all. You can see it.
And that would mean there's a motion on the table, so you can call for a motion, whatever that motion is, to approve, to table, to amend, whatever that motion is. Oh, you do have a motion already, I missed that, I'm sorry. What's the motion to approve it? And, you need to call for a vote? Unless they're withdrawing their motion, I don't know what the conversation is.
we'll withdraw for the discussion later.
So I'm gonna withdraw.
Okay, so he's withdrawing his agenda item. You're gonna withdraw your motion, and Mr. Turner will withdraw his second. And so there's no motion on the floor. Is there a desire to bring it back?
Yes, April.
All right, well, let's do the motion to table it for the next meeting.
I make a motion that we table this agenda item until our regular scheduled meeting.
Any discussion? All in favor? Passes here. Do we need any executive session today?
I do not. And I'm not looking at the district, it doesn't.
Personal privilege. Personal privilege. Mr. Stern has the personal privilege to ask Mr. Curtis to make his report.
Okay, Mr. John, here you go. There you go.
Thank you, ma'am. This is, just an inform, per the 2019 budget, equipment that was, budgeted for. I've received bids on the equipment, and per our purchasing policy, I just have to let the council know that we're gonna go ahead and buy. The belt press is still, in hand, went out for RFP yet. There's still some engineering on it. It's a skid steer loader, a compact excavator, and the small Versalift bucket truck. They're all budgeted, in the budget. It's all budgeted, just giving the council an update that it's gonna be taking place.
Can we ask you anything else?
You got one more.
Yeah.
Library.
Oh, yeah, buddy, we will be taking care of the book house this week. I told Melissa yesterday, I did thank you, okay.
The streets, the assessment they did.
The assessment, I got an email from him, I will, I'll send Melissa all the information that we have, and she can,
when you gonna start, you know?
yeah, when we're gonna, I'll give her the information and she can distribute it to y'all.
It'll be before the week out there?
I will, like I said, I'll,
I will let you know, Councilman, when he gets to me.
I have one other question. We're going with the skid steer loader and the, compact excavator, right? And the bucket truck is what model?
The bucket truck is the Versalift.
The Versalift.
Yes, it's $1,000 more, but the, Duralift does not have a material handling boom, geo on it, and it's not as high. It doesn't go to 40 feet, and that's what we were, sent the bids out for, was a 40-foot bucket.
Okay. The Kubota plant, where is that?
The Kubota, it's actually Mason Tractor, which is in McDonough, Industrial.
No, we have a sister city that has a Kubota plant in their city. I'll see if I can get the information, and we may be able to get a better price than that.
McDonough?
Yeah.
No, it's not in McDonough, it's up in North Georgia.
The Kubota is not, it's through Mason Tractor in McDonough.
Oh, through Mason Tractor.
Through Mason Tractor in McDonough.
Okay.
That's who it's with.
Okay, I'll try it.
Okay.
And answer that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Customer, there were, not happening, discuss, anything happening in Hampton. Any good thing? That's something Councilman Brown.
There was a women in leadership, class on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday over at our public library. Commissioner D. Clemens, hosted it. Wednesday? Was it Thursday? My days are running together. It was a very good class. What I did ask, because I got it from, another resident, I've asked that we get those type of events that are gone that can benefit our community, get under distribution, so I asked that they put Melissa under distribution, and myself, and for also the county meetings, because there's a lot of activity going on in the county that is going to impact Hampton, and I think we need to keep our ears open and be in tune to that. It was a very informative training. It was very good, and we need more of that kind of training here in our city. I think it was really productive.
On Saturday, the Mason Lodge had a blood drive where Lifestyle came to our community, and I don't know if everyone's familiar with that, but normally the blood stays right here as a need, but that particular day, about 11 people gave a pint, and then some people gave platelets. The platelet blood of about 3 people that were there that day went right to Children's Hospital to be used for cancer kids. And the way the blood is divided up, like a pint goes for 3 people, so Hampton saved about 42 lives on Saturday. And I would just love to see these blood drives get more attendance, because we have 7,000 people. We can get a lot more people if we start helping, like he said, spread that news. And Mr. Smith, the chairman of the ethics board, he's kind of always led that up. And he always brings Lifestyle at least 4 times a year, and I'd love to support that more.
Maybe we can do that too. Talk about that. Drink some juice while we're listening.
Yes, I just want to, thank the council once again in regard to the naming of the Catherine Williams Community Center. It was a great turnout. The community really came out to honor her. I want to thank our Economic Development Department for doing a wonderful job in hosting it and really making Hampton look good. So, thank everybody for that.
I concur with Ms. Scott here. I was gonna say the same thing, but since she said it, I just concur with her.
I just wanted to thank all the historical preservation groups that came out Saturday and worked all day at the depot. I don't know if anybody's seen it before, but you would never believe that could have happened in a day. It looks really good. They redid the museum, got it all fixed up, so we'll probably be having that open at the All College Festival so people can visit.
I want to thank, remember, the residents of West Main Street who came out for a session to discuss proposals to resurface or widen the street. So for informed discussion, was it best to listen to the residents to see what they need. I want to give them thanks for that. I make a motion, any motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
We're done at this start. I think that's what she would like to. I think it does happen a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Like some people normally take out my lunch on Friday. I hang around.
All right.
Don't mess with her. I use my power. Wait, look, wait.
Yeah, you were telling us that.
We was holding